My brothers and sisters, welcome. The first Sunday of Lent. And Jesus went out into the desert to be tempted by the devil. Now, the Synoptic Gospels each have their different version of this event where Jesus went into the desert and went into the wilderness. And now this is something that we need to understand. He went into the wilderness, not just to have some peace and quiet, not so much why we go into the wilderness these days to have a nature walk. No, he went into the wilderness because it was understood that this is where the enemy lurked. And so he brought the battle to the enemy. Now, there's some very beautiful things here in these Gospels that help us understand that Jesus went into the desert to heal what happened in the garden. The three temptations of Jesus. First of all, the temptations to the flesh, then the temptation to be self-aggrandized, then the temptation to be worshipped. This is very important because these are the same things that Adam and Eve experienced in the garden. As we know, they didn't do so well, but Jesus did persevere through the temptation. How are you guys doing? It's the first Sunday of Lent. How many are still batting 1,000? Sometimes we might try to do too much for Lent, and the first Sunday of Lent is kind of like okay. Right, this is what I'm going to do. If that's where you're at, be gentle with yourself. But let us begin. Because the reason why we offer our prayers, our sacrifice, our offerings, is because of what needs to be redeemed within us. There's a power in fasting. There's a power in prayer. There's a power that needs to happen because our bodies do not live on bread alone, is what Jesus responded to the enemy when he tempted him to change a piece of stone into bread. You're hungry, right? It's a natural need. Just go with your natural needs. I heard a friend of mine say, if your God lets you do anything you want, then your God is yourself. And so many times, without knowing it, we allow something that isn't God to take the place of God for natural reasons. Just because it's a natural need doesn't mean that it doesn't need to take its place before what God is asking of us. And God is asking us to enter into this Lent. Then the second temptation, when Jesus was taken and to the top of the temple. He says, throw yourself down and the angels will hold you up. And this is a temptation to be accepted. Now remember, Jesus was given the mission to preach the good news to his people. And so many of his people did not receive him. Well, wouldn't this have been a great miracle, huh? Going to the top of the temple, throwing myself down, floating, then they'll believe. The temptation was hey, I know what your mission is. Look, this will make it happen. It's like a shortcut. But Jesus responds, you don't put God to the test. It's not how we want God's mission, God's call to be accomplished. It's how he does. And we must almost cede our will to him. That doesn't mean that we don't have a choice. Indeed, we're more free when we are with him. When his will is our will, that is when we are most free. And the third temptation, the enemy took Jesus up to the high mountain, saw all the nations, and all of this is mine, I will give it to you. Now this is very, very interesting because Jesus' mission was the salvation of the world. The devil was saying, hey, you don't have to go to the cross. No, you don't have to suffer. Look, trying to help you. I'll give it to you. And Jesus responded, you shall love the Lord your God, your whole heart, mind, and soul, and him alone. Sometimes we want to gain heaven, gain God, but not go through the cross. and it's a great temptation in all of our lives. These are the things that Jesus is teaching us by going into the wilderness. Let us go into our wilderness and now allow the Lord to redeem those parts of us that need to be redeemed. Perhaps we haven't chosen well every single time, but there's always a second chance with God. Let us begin again, because we were made for heaven.